guys, it's Phoebe. Welcome back to Space City Soaps. So today I am remaking a soap. It is called the Detox Activated Charcoal Soap. It's the one that takes all the impurities out of your pores, right? With the activated charcoal. You can see people using it to whiten their teeth. Those videos are really popular. But I make a soap out of activated charcoal, and it is one of our most popular soaps here at Space City Soaps. I have made a video on it in the past, and it is one of my most popular YouTube soap making videos. And I thought I would make it again for you guys, and this time share the recipe and show you how I do it. So this is a palm-free, vegan-friendly, cruelty-free recipe, handmade, very minimal ingredients. It's for people with sensitive and problematic skin. So there is no fragrance oil, and it is a very easy recipe to follow. So let's get to soaping, and I will tell you and show you how I make the Detox Activated Charcoal Soap. Okay, so the first thing that I do when making this 4-pound batch of soap is I measure out 22 ounces of coconut oil. I know this looks really full, but trust me, once it melts down, it'll fit. So we're gonna put our coconut oil into the microwave for 30 seconds. And for another 30 seconds. Don't want it to get too hot. And here we are. It is all beautiful and melted. So now we're gonna take our coconut oil and add it to our big mixing pot, making sure to get every little bit. Next, I add 44 ounces of olive oil and 4 ounces of castor oil. Okay, now it's time to measure out our lye water solution. I always try to measure this out in a glass container if I can help it. So let's tear the scale. All right, and for this 4-pound soap recipe, you are going to need 23.5 ounces of water with 9.7 ounces of lye, making a grand total of 33.2 ounces. Now, I personally master batch my lye solution in these big containers. I keep them extremely safe. I have all kinds of warnings and that sort of thing around them where I keep them in a very safe spot. But I master batch my lye out for this recipe. This amount that you see here in this jug, this is for 3 4-pound soaps batches. So let me now measure out 33.2 ounces. Oops, went a little bit over. Now I'm a little bit under. I'm kind of a stickler when it comes to having my numbers on point. All right, now let's get to making soap. Before we start, I need to add sodium lactate to my lye water solution. I get mine from Crafter's Choice. One of these 10-pound jugs will last you a pretty good long time, depending on the size of your soap batches. But I'm gonna add 4 tablespoons of sodium lactate to my lye water solution. 4. I'm just gonna stir it around in there a little. Okay, now we can get to soaping. And I am also going to add white kaolin clay to my oils. This helps harden the bars of soap, and this is a pretty wet recipe as far as soap recipes are concerned. There's a high water content. So I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of Kaolin Clay. And don't worry, I have totally washed off this measurement spoon. So that's 3, and that's 4. Okay, and now we are going to pulse in the Kaolin Clay and mix up our oils at the same time. Okay, now our oils are definitely ready to go, and they are already room temperature. Let me get the thermometer. So our oils are ready to go. They are 81.5 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 27.4 degrees Celsius. And the reason why they are is because the olive oil and the castor oil were already room temperature, and because I warmed up my coconut oil in 30-second intervals, it never really got that hot. It just, you know, melted at 72 degrees, 76 degrees, I forget, but it never really got that warm. So, and since I master batched my lye, it is already nice and cold. And to this, I'm going to add a little bit of titanium dioxide. Just a bit. Okay. I'm just gonna pulse that in very carefully. And there we have it. Okay, now I'm going to put my lye water solution with the titanium dioxide and the sodium lactate. I'm going to gently pour it into my oils, which contains olive oil, coconut oil, and castor oil with kaolin clay to help harden. And my previous recipe, I did not put titanium dioxide, but I added it. I have been remaking this soap. I don't even know how many times I've remade it now, but I added titanium dioxide to it in the past. I don't remember when, but I just like the way it looks a little bit better, the design. It comes out a little bit more bold, much more bold actually. So that's why I added it to this recipe. So let's give this a pulse. Okay, that looks beautiful. Let me put this off to the side, and I am taking 2 of these buckets and I am going to split this batch equally in half. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Whoa, going a little bit too fast there. Okay, and now I'm going to scrape out all the rest of this soap out of this big bucket. Okay, now that I have these 2 divided, I am going to add activated charcoal hardwood from Crafter's Choice. Sorry for the label, it's gotten messed up, but I'm going to add, let's see, I'm going to add probably 1.5 teaspoons to this side and 1 tablespoon to this side because I want them to look different. I want this one to be dark gray and this one to be light gray. So let's do that. careful with this stuff because it is messy. So I am going to mix these two up. Okay, there is our first color. It's sort of a pretty light gray. Now let's mix up this one. So let's stir these up with our spatula. Make sure they're nice and mixed and that activated charcoal is nice and mixed in with the soap. And the same with this side. Whoa. I hate it when that happens. Ugh. All right, gotta be a little bit more careful. There we have it. So there is our light gray. And here is the dark gray. Okay, so now let's bring out our mold. This is a silicone liner that I bought from Brambleberry, and I built the mold that it's in, this wooden mold. I built this, but the silicone mold is from Brambleberry. It is an 18 bar slab mold. I will put the link in the description below. And it comes with these handy dandy dividers, which I completely recommend. So let's get to pouring the Detox Activated Charcoal Soap. Okay, so now I'm going to tap down the whole entire mold pretty forcefully to get all of the air bubbles out and to flatten the soap. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do for today is use my chopstick and just on the surface level go ahead and do a fun swirl. Then go around the outside to clean up the edges. And there we have it. There is the Detox Activated Charcoal Soap. Let me get the dividers. All right, so now I am going to put in the dividers very carefully. You can already tell that the soap is setting up, which is good. Looking good. And now I'm going to take 91% rubbing alcohol and spray the top of it. Okay, and to prevent soda ash, you definitely want to cover your soap with something. I actually cover these molds with another slab mold that I had. It just coincidentally fits on top, but you can also cover it if your mold has a lid, or you can also use saran wrap. You can use pretty much whatever you want, just to prevent the surface from, you know, sucking in moisture and humidity from the air while it is saponifying. So okay, and now we are back 2 days later. So let's open this up and see what it looks like. There we go. Beautiful. And because we waited 2 days, the soap has fully saponified and cooled off, and now soda ash won't just like immediately grab onto the surface layer. So depending on the amount of water, I believe it's depending on the amount of water in your recipe, that will sort of determine the amount of time you have to wait with the lid on or with it covered so that you can prevent soda ash. So now I'm going to just set that aside. And the first thing I always like to do is put down something. I put down freezer paper, but you can put down anything you want, just because, I don't know, even though my work surface is clean, when you deal with colorants and micas and all of that stuff, and, you know, bath bomb dust and anything, you know, you can clean a lot and keep it all tidy, but there's just always the possibility that, you know, like some neon pink will get onto your soap bar, and that would sort of mess it up. Not completely, but it's just a hassle, and it's a way to prevent the hassle. So then what I do is I take the mold, and sometimes I have to flip it over completely. Let me just get this out of here. So I take the silicone liner out of the wooden mold. It takes a little bit of patience. There we go. So take it out. And then we can put this to the side for the next time we need to use it. And now we have just the silicone liner with the dividers inside. And I am just going to flip it and gently press on top. And I can see where sort of the air is starting to come through. You see that? And it's just sort of gravity. I'm just sort of helping gravity right now. Pop. There we go. Let me just take this off. And there is the bottom of our soaps. I just sort of like to smooth that out. Sometimes you get a little bit of residue stuck to the silicone liner, so I just like to sort of smooth it out with my gloved finger or gloved hand. Now this is gonna be just a little bit messy, but that's okay. That's sort of how these dividers work. So I can already see that there are two that have fallen just from gravity. So I'm going to just be very careful. Actually, I'm gonna take this one first. Ta-da, it just popped right out. Super easy. Now I have all of this extra, but I'm just going to clean that up with a potato peeler. Let me see. Okay, I'm just gonna take another one from the side. I usually do all four corners. There's another one. I'm just barely pulling it. It's sort of doing all the work itself. These are really good. I love this liner with the divider. It's great if you don't have much money to invest in, you know, like a soap cutter or something like that. It's really useful for people who are just beginning to make cold process soaps. And the size of the soap is, a very, I just love the size of this soap. They're each 5 ounces once they're cured. And it's just a good size, you know, it fits in the palm really nicely. I love this line, these dividers. I have a whole collection of soaps that are this size. Isn't that pretty? I just love the contrast of the the light gray and the dark gray. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, soap makers and customers, they ask if these bars have a gray lather, or, you know, like gray bubbles. And they do. That's the activated charcoal, but it will not stain you or your tub or your sink. It will not stain. It washes away almost immediately. So, and it's not going to hurt you or anything. That is just the activated charcoal, which is the additive. That's the good stuff. That's the stuff that you want to work. So, but if you're going to be trying to make this, I would try to get the color that you want, but don't put so much activated charcoal in there. You know, only put enough to get the colors that you want and the design that you want. Don't just be like dumping in activated charcoal, because it does bubble gray, and I don't mind it. And I haven't had any customers that have used it and, you know, complained about it. Usually when a customer buys this soap, they'll ask me the question initially, like, does it lather gray? And I'll say yes, and they'll buy it anyway. And then that issue never comes up again, and they just keep buying more because they love it so much, and they love what it does to their skin. And I do have to say that if you have extremely dry skin, do not use this on your face, because it is a little bit drying. So if you have extremely, extremely dry skin, like drier skin than I do, because I have dry skin, but I love this bar. But if you have extremely dry skin, it might not be the bar for you. And that's like an extreme case, you know? But yeah, I just thought I would say it. And it's just really simple. Just going through and sliding them out. Look at the sides. I love the way the sides look. I think they're pretty. And of course, you don't have to use this mold to make this soap. You can obviously make it in a loaf mold. You can make it in, you know, anything you want. Another slab mold that doesn't have dividers. This is just how I do it, but I wanted to share the recipe because it's been a major success for Space City Soaps. I have customers coming back over and over again for this bar. I you know, remake it at least twice a month, it seems. So I thought I would share, because sharing is caring, and I will see you guys next time.